Hi guys, I put a Q&A out on Instagram a couple of weeks ago, so I'm going to do this video to explain a bit about programming and the mindset I take with my athletes. So the first thing I want to talk about is program design, the sort of stuff that I like to include in people's programs, and the sort of time scale we're looking at. Generally, I will work ideally off a 10 to 12 week plan. I personally like 10 weeks, so that allows for 4 training weeks, a bit of a deload week, especially from heavy deadlifts, and then 4 heavier training weeks to try and bring everything together, and then a final deload either before competition or before testing. What I try and do is look sort of honestly at people's weaknesses, which is something if you're going to do your own program you're going to have to do yourself, and ask yourself why you're missing lifts, what you need to do to change that, and what you need to do to move forward and achieve the things that you're trying to. So what I'm going to do is look at a 10-week plan for peaking, first of all the log and also the deadlift. I'm going to use 100 kilo max for both, just because it's a round number and it allows us to move through things a little bit easier. A big thing I have in people's programs that, in all honesty, really freaks them out is I program them a day, ideally not to go into the gym. If they do go into the gym, they don't have a program that day. What they do is whatever they want, whatever makes them feel good. I've got guys who go out hiking, I personally go out climbing and bouldering. I've got people who want to ride bikes. Some people just want to sit and do some art. Like, I don't mind what it is, but I want a day that you can enjoy, where you can not be thinking about the lifts, not thinking about the goals. You just start to enjoy the process a bit more. If you're doing your own programming, I really recommend that's something you do, is realize that strength training isn't the end goal, it's part of the big process. And in order to be a strength athlete, you need to be an athlete, which means you need to be adaptable, you need to be explosive, you need to be resilient, and you need to recover. That comes better with variety. If you're out hiking and you stand on something uneven, as you fall, your body will self-organize, it reduces the risk of injury. When you're in a competition, if the floor's uneven, your body knows how to deal with that, your body knows how to move well, and you know that you don't have to worry about what's going on. The big thing that no one really wants to do is look honestly at their own weaknesses. Unfortunately, a lot of the times, if you fail a lift, it is your fault. Something's missing. The best case scenario is you're not strong enough. Strength is infinitely trainable, and you are capable of hitting whatever you want to do if you're willing to put the work in. But if you just keep going in, hitting, heavy max attempts all the time, not being honest with yourself, best case you set a pretty heavy ceiling for you to get through. Worst case, you'll just never progress anywhere near what you're capable of doing. I think a really key thing is honesty, both as a coach and as an athlete, with yourself and with each other. If we can't communicate, there's a big gap and there's some pretty big issues. I ask for fairly regular feedback from my guys, and I give them as much feedback as I think they need, and in a lot of cases more than they want. So on this conveniently impossible to see whiteboard, I'm going to explain how I like to structure sort of a 10-week deadlift plan. What I'm going to do is sort of relevant points. I'm going to put sort of pictures and graphics up of what I'm writing on here, so don't worry about not being able to see it all straight away. It just gives me something to point at. So week 1 to 4, this is going to be normally where I will use a variation of the lift we're going for. So in the case of deadlift, if you're failing off the floor, it'll be a low block deadlift. If you're failing above the knee, it'll be a deficit deadlift. There's a very broad sort of rule with that. What I try to do, if we're just purely building strength, is work a pretty normal taper. Sort of 3 sets of 8 for week 1. That'll be fairly light just to get a bit of work done, get you into the program. Then we'll drop to probably 3 sets of 5. That'll be a fairly big jump in weight from the 8s, but that should sort of allow you to come in a little bit better, a bit heavier weights coming in fairly soon. Week 3 would normally be 3 sets of 3, and then we'll do either 1 or 3 sets of 3 for week 4. These weights here, for a 100 kilo deadlift, we'll be aiming to hit 85 to 90 kilos for 3 reps for your 4th week deadlift. Week 5 is going to be a deload week from deadlifts. You will not deadlift at all. Deadlifts are pretty taxing on the CNS, so it can be good just to have a week off from them. You can hit your accessories, but we'll pull everything back a bit, including some other compound lifts, but keep your accessories ticking over. And then we get into the last 4 weeks before deload and comp or testing. So we will aim for this 5 here to be the same as this 3. So you'll probably do 3 sets of 5. Say this week was 85 for 3 3s, we'll try and hit 3 5s at 85. Then we will be getting to 90 for 3 3s, 92.5 to 95 for 1 set of 3, and then we'll work up to a heavy double, which with a lot of my guys, we sort of hit what would be 100% for a double. Never hit a really heavy single in normal training, because then this deload week here, again, no deadlifts. I have a really simple structured deload week that I'll put up on a graphic sort of nowish, and that the only thing that changes then is whether you train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, depending if you have a Saturday or a Sunday competition. So with the log, I do things slightly differently to the deadlift, and I think slightly differently to how other coaches do. We will do 5, 3, 1, all the way through this first phase at least. I like a 5 to 10 kilo jump between these sets, and then, so the plan, if it works ideally, is say you'd hit 5 at 70, 3 at 75, 1 at 80, and then what we do the next week is your 3 rep will become your 5, your 1 rep will become your 3, and a new weight will come in for the 1. And we'll just keep shifting that through for these first 4 weeks. What I generally like to do at the end of the first phase is to hit some 95% for your single, so that would be your 9th rep or 9th working rep. So you'll hit, you know, close to what your old max was, but pretty fatigued. Then again, deload week, this will generally not be a total deload if it's just peaking the log. What we'll do is drop back to either 3 3s or 5 3s or 3 5s, depending what the person needs to work on. But we'll drop the weight right back. So you won't avoid the exercise, but that will get you ready for this 4 weeks, which generally is where we sit pretty similar to the deadlift plan. So we'll hit 5, 3, 3, 1 or 2. Again, that depends on the athlete. Some guys I work with really like the feeling of hitting a heavy single, but after a bit of time they sort of come around to the way of thinking that, you know, if I've hit 95, in some cases 100% for 2 reps, come the comp, there's a new pretty big PB coming. What I like to do here is say 3 5s, and your first set of 5, or your first week of 5s will be sort of week 3 or 4's set of 5. So you've done 5, 3, 1, and then we'll move over and try and hit it for 3 5s. Then what we'll do is, you know, 5 to 10 kilo increases depending on your strength, where you are in terms of what you're pushing for. If it's a big comp, if it's log only, it makes a few alterations. But what we do is hit 3 3s, then 1 to 3 3s, and then work up to a heavy double. And then again, standard deload week. People get a bit freaked out by seeing, you know, only a couple of sessions that involve some 60% squats, 60% squatting, pressing, and jumps, and a bit of core work, because, you know, it takes a bit of getting used to that you're not going to be doing really heavy stuff the week before the comp. But what we've done is 9 weeks of work here, and then we're going to consolidate it all, let you recover. If you've not got a weight category to hit, you are going to be eating a lot, but you don't need to carb load because you're a strongman. You just need to eat a lot. You need to make sure you're well fueled, you make sure you're recovered, plenty of fats, plenty of carbohydrates, and a lot of protein. During this last week especially, we're really going to prioritize recovery. We want to be getting a massage Thursday at the latest for Saturday comp, because you get soreness after massage. And we want to be resting. We don't want to be thinking about the comp. We don't want to be thinking about what can go wrong. What if the lights are a bit weird? What if the floor's weird? It's a different log. None of it matters. You need to trust in the fact that this whole block of training has been towards that one comp. That is only applicable for people doing like short cycles, short-term training. You know, I've got guys who are working towards 1 comp a year or 1 lift a year in a couple of cases. So everything we've done is going towards this. The last thing we have to do is compete and make sure you're in as good a condition as possible for that. And that is that mindset flip. You need total trust in the work you've done and trust in your ability to recover and perform like an athlete. So the last thing I sort of want to touch on is that mindset and sort of that belief that the work we do and the training and the phases that you go through will be totally effective if you commit to them at 100%. This will also be the same if you're doing your own programming. You just need to take responsibility for yourself, and that if you're willing to put the work into your weaknesses, you're willing to do stuff that might make you look silly, might make you feel silly, that other people aren't doing, you will move beyond what you ever thought you were capable of doing. A lot of my guys have said, you know, they need to really adjust their expectations of themselves further than they thought, whereas I've worked with other coaches and they felt like they've been chasing goals, whereas now, you know, we're sort of chasing them down and moving through them rather than having them as an endpoint. You know, I want to know the person I'm dealing with. I want to know why we're doing what we're doing. But hopefully it gives you a bit of a general insight in how you can be looking towards hitting personal bests in, you know, as little as 10 weeks. So I hope you enjoyed the video. You can see our social media links coming up at the end. And thank you for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, all that stuff. Cheers, guys.